So yes, I thought of all of that in the 4th grade. Life circumstances for me, like even as a 4th grader, were really intense. And I did a lot of growing up fast. And I felt like a really unique kid. And so finding friends for me, making friends was really difficult at that age, through elementary school, middle school, even high school. Even being involved in certain things, I was pretty much a loner. So I liked reading books and finding places that I could get lost in and stories that would captivate me. I could definitely imagine that monster being fear. So I even created a shirt for this particular book, and on the front of the shirt, it says, "I survived the monster in my room." And on the back of the shirt, it calls it out and it says, "The monster in my room is," and there's a list of things on the back. It's discrimination. Fear is not on there, but fear can definitely be on there. I made a really long list, but it shouldn't be limited to that list. It's if you're left with fear, if you're left with loneliness, if you're left with depression, if you're left with thoughts of self-harm, any of those things that are potentially impeding your day-to-day life, those are monstrosities. That's not something that we want to have, but they are things that many people do have and face every day. People sometimes will ask me if this is an autobiography, or they'll think that I'm the main character, Olivia. The main character, Olivia, has seen some things in her life that I'll never see. And I've had some things in my life that the main character, Olivia, will never see. But the general idea was that I would write a book, right, that I could find myself in. So when I read this book to myself, I read it as I'm reading Olivia's life, like, man, this girl really, really gets me. And so interestingly enough, people ask me that if the story's based off of my life or if I'm Olivia. And when I see people pick up the book and they'll read the inside flap, they'll say, oh, so this book is about me. Or even if they don't read it and they just say, so tell me what this book is about, like in your words, what is this book about? And the minute I start describing it, certain people will just automatically say, whoa, you wrote this book about my life. And that's exactly actually what I wanted the book to do. Like, I want people to feel like, yes, I'm reading something, it's instantaneously relatable. And for some people that's scary, just based on what the book is about. For other people, that makes them more inclined to really want to dive into it and see what they have to gain from reading the book. So my husband read the book. I was really excited for him to read the book. He's one of the first people, actually he might be the first person to read the entire book cover to cover. And he's actually read the book maybe like 4 times now. And he uses the book as a personal like husband guide. And I've actually seen a different person in him. Unintentionally, he found himself in the main character, one of the other main characters, Lawrence. And he thought, well, hey, Lawrence is doing a pretty good job at being a husband, and maybe I can take some pointers and some tips from Lawrence and start seeing how I can move differently in my life. And so, what do you know? I am definitely the main beneficiary of that because it's improved our lives together. Quite honestly, I see a lot of him in the main character, Lawrence, already. So it was interesting in me that he found even more things to improve upon. So on the flip side of that, I did have a friend read the book with her fiance, and they found it a little bit intimidating that Lawrence was really checking all of the boxes, and they saw it though too as a challenge to say, how can we incorporate some of these things into our relationship? So I just want to ask you, as one of the first people that actually
first edition,
read the book in its raw form, before edits, after edits, in between edits. What was that like for you?
Well, for me, it was I would say it was very transformative and very much it was very cathartic in a sense because of the fact is reading the words off the page, reading about Olivia and how how she had the transformative of how her life went throughout that book, and watching it evolve with her family shaped me a whole lot. And it shaped me in a way that made me think about what number one, it means to look at your own life personally and what it means to really assess the past traumas, but at the same time, how to really address them head on, but at the same time, not be afraid to be vulnerable and transparent. And I think that was, as a man reading that book, you're so used to being prideful and so used to being, I'm the man, I gotta do this like that. And you're reading the words off the page, it's okay to have vulnerability, okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to have hurt and pain, but it's at the same time, not letting the hurt and pain define who you are moving forward. Yeah. And I thought that was very powerful for me, reading it in its raw form like that. And it just really hit me in a big way. Just in my own life, about just like assessing my own feelings and my own upbringings like that, and how I address things and how I look at things differently now.
My book can be found, The Monster in My Room can be found online through my website, rosiecoleyb.com. I am self-published, so I did a lot of thinking around what I wanted to do, if I wanted to go the agent route and try to land a deal with a major publishing house. And what I decided from some really helpful counseling from my mentor was, here's what it looks like if you self-publish, here's what it looks like if you go through an agency. And because of a lot of the creative details that I wanted to keep and my timing, I chose to self-publish. I am absolutely open to a publishing house getting hands on my book and taking it to different heights. But I was really excited about releasing it, the date that I wanted to release it. So I'm selling my book through pop-up shops. A couple of my friends, where we are today at Beach Bakery on Rainier. I do pop-up shops in this area through some other of my friends, through Queen Care, where I do a lot of pop-up shops. I've done a pop-up shop in front of Common Ground Cupcakes. That's where I actually did a lot of my writing. I'm at different markets, and I'm actually also in Third Place Books.
Despite the challenges, Booker has found ways to thrive in Seattle's business scenes, selling her book at pop-up events and local storefronts, getting to connect with dozens of like-minded Black entrepreneurs.
Oh my gosh, so it's funny, a lot of people will ask me so are you a counselor? Are you a therapist? And honestly, it's never, being a counselor is not something that I set out to say okay, I want to go and do this and help people. It's almost like from within, it's just kind of a natural thing that's coming out that allows me to be emotionally available to people. And I think it's out of the necessity of me needing somebody to be emotionally available to me. I am that person that I always feel why do people come and tell me all of their secrets? It's huge to me, like I said, just that someone would find that trust in me, that someone would hold something so dear to them and give it to me to hold for them too. So I'm all about everyone healing. I'm all about no one wanting to feel alone. And ultimately, I don't want anyone to take their life because they think that no one loves them.